This podcast is sponsored by the Life Trading Card Game, with trading cards featuring stunning artwork of majestic mammals. Life Trading Card Game brings you a collection like no other. They even have special holographic cards that are as rare as the animals they represent. Just like the magnificent Amur leopard, of which only an estimated 100 remain in the wild, only 100 holographic leopard cards are printed. It's your chance to own a piece of this incredible species. Not only do these cards capture the essence of wildlife, but they also make a difference. Life Trading Card Game is committed to conservation. That's why 20% of all profits go to charities dedicated to protecting and preserving these amazing creatures and their habitats. Get started today by visiting their website at www.lifetcg.com. And as a special offer, use the discount code WILDWORLD, all caps, no space, WILDWORLD, to get 10% off your first order. Thanks to Life Trading Card Game for sponsoring this podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Wild World Podcast. I'm your host Thomas from the Wild World YouTube channel, and joining me is my co-host Mika.
Hi there. Happy week after Shark Week.
On this podcast we talk about wildlife, paleontology and cryptozoology. But first let's talk about what's been on our wildlife radar since the last episode. So do you have anything of note on your wildlife radar?
Mostly just movies. Mm-hmm. So I saw the Meg and Meg 2.
Yeah, The Trench.
So yeah, I saw the Meg for the first time. And seeing them so close to each other, like the Meg 2 is very formulaic in that the Meg, like they do some exploration, it doesn't go right, then there are Megs loose, then they go to some place with a bunch of people partying, and it's bad.
I feel like it didn't even need the subtitle The Trench, because like in the first one they also went to the exact same trench.
Was it the same trench? I thought it was a different trench.
Wasn't it? I thought it was the same station, the same trench, and the same
the station was destroyed in the first one.
It was?
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it wasn't very accurate, probably. I don't know if there are any thermoclines in the ocean. Ocean scientists weigh in.
I think there are thermoclines, but I don't know if they're like that.
Do they, contain a multitude of prehistoric creatures underneath?
Probably not.
And allow the evolution to stop or something? And
So you're saying you hated the Meg?
No, I'm saying I saw it and there are a lot of animals in it and that's sort of fun, but it is a bit repeating the first one. But there are some new surprises in store in the Meg 2. I will say that. It's not totally the same.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it was fine.
I liked it a little more than the first, even though they are very similar.
Right. We really need to get Jason Statham on this podcast and ask him, since he's a real diver, if he's ever seen anything wild in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like wildlife, why don't you watch the Meg 2? You don't have to. Maybe it's better if you're not a scientist to help with the enjoyment of the movie.
Yeah, I'd say it's, if you know what to expect, it's worth going to see. If you're you want to see a silly movie, that's, I wouldn't say, well, you said it was a bit boring.
I was bored at some point, yes.
Well, I thought I was entertained the whole way, I would say. Huh. Even if it was a bit foolish.
More entertained than any other movie you've seen this summer?
No, but I've seen other movies that weren't as entertaining this summer, I'd say.
Really?
Maybe.
What movie is less entertaining than the Meg 2?
What are the movies we see this summer? Well, we saw a bunch of movies, but I don't know. I just felt like there were some movies where I was like, I'm waiting for this to end, but with the Meg, it was like, it just ended when it needed to end.
All right. Well, anyway, another movie I saw was The Guardian for the first time, which is about rescue swimmers in the U.S. Coast Guard.
Yeah.
What? And I started...
I know where this is going, but it just sounds like it has nothing to do with wildlife at the beginning.
So, Thomas's dog really loves to swim, and I thought, wow, he could be a rescue swimmer, but unfortunately, he could not rescue anyone in the water because he hates swimmers, and he only wants to drown them.
Okay, well, that's not entirely true. He tries to save them, but he doesn't know how, so he just pushes you under the water and scratches you.
Yeah. So we took him to the ocean for the first time in his life last weekend, and I thought it would be really fun for him to play in the waves for the first time. And we all went out to swim, and he came and attacked me and like got his paws in my hair and dragged me down.
Mika has a multitude of bruises and scratches all over her body. It's pretty
from the vicious
violent
dog who would never make the cut as a rescue swimmer. Because have you seen those videos of like dogs who are being trained to be service dogs, but they don't make the cut, and it's like the video showing why they failed?
Yeah.
And there's one where they like pull someone out of a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That would be your dog. He would be training as a rescue swimmer, and he would almost drown many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, of swimming in lakes and the ocean, he's probably the most dangerous animal I've ever swam with.
Yeah, don't look out for sharks, look out for dogs. But on a serious note, there are dogs who are rescue swimmers. Apparently Newfoundlands are really good at it, and some Labradors. And like, there have been some dogs that have saved many, many people, and they go out with, what are they called? Flotation devices.
Yeah.
And help the people, and sometimes they have to flip them on their back. That's very impressive, but I think you have to be a rather intelligent dog to do that. Yeah.
He's smart in some ways.
You have to not be afraid
He tricked you today to get a ball. That was impressive.
That's true. But you have to not be afraid that people are constantly going to drown unless you help them.
He just needs to be trained better.
Yeah. But anyway, I'd like to hear about your dogs. Can they swim well? Can they possibly rescue you if you were drowning? Let us know.
Yeah. Do they panic when you're in the water?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that probably everything on the radar?
Yeah, unless you have something.
No, that's about it. Well, we didn't mention we've started watching Prehistoric Planet.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. We've only started it, but pretty decent.
Yeah. It's sort of weird how, I mean, to me, it felt weird that it's only focusing on the year 65 million years ago. Because when you compare it to, like, Walking with Dinosaurs, maybe, they go all around in
Yeah, they start
time.
Triassic and end of Cretaceous, I think.
Yeah, but maybe it's better this way because it's just a snapshot of a certain time period. So it's more easy to understand.
I guess it's cool to see all the different parts of the planet at the same-ish time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, should we go into the news?
Sure. So this is a story from a while ago, but you hadn't heard about it, right? Or had you?
Not in depth.
Okay. Well, this is about scalloped hammerhead sharks. So I ask you, where do they live and what do they eat?
Probably warm enough water, tropical water, and probably not very deep.
So, scalloped hammerhead sharks.
I'm guessing they eat fish and squid.
They live in warm, temperate, and tropical coastal waters all around the globe, and they eat deep-sea squid. Well, foods such as deep-sea squid. So the thing is, they're in pretty warm waters, but they dive really far down because
it gets cold quick.
That's how they get the squid. Yeah, so how do they stay warm when they dive into the frigid waters, where it could be 5 degrees Celsius, 800 meters down? So it looks like they hold their breath. They close their gills and mouths, which prevents heat loss. I guess they must open their mouths when they eat, but the gills is the main thing. They held their breath about 17 minutes per dive, according to this study. They did this with sensors, such as the study of the basking sharks we talked about last time, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have video footage to prove this, but they do want that next to show that the gills aren't opening. The sharks maintain their body temperature for the whole dive within 0.1 degrees Celsius, and finally right at the end of the dive when they're coming up, it dips 2 degrees Celsius. That's when they open their gills to breathe again. So this is interesting because this is another way that sharks are keeping their temperature, manageable when they go deep, because if they didn't manage it, then they would maybe die because it's way too cold at 5 degrees Celsius.
Right.
So I was thinking about how this compares to the basking shark study, and apparently basking sharks prefer temperatures of 8 to 14.5 degrees Celsius, which is a bit warmer than the 5-degree low, but that just says prefers, so maybe they're going to the same temperatures, and they go down at least 910 meters deep. So it seems that basking sharks and scalloped hammerhead sharks have similar diving conditions, but yeah, it's just different ways of dealing with the problem.
Right.
Because the scalloped hammerhead sharks aren't warm-blooded, they just hold their breath.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if the scalloped hammerhead sharks do this, it's pretty likely that other sharks probably also do it when they have to dive at depths if they're not warm-blooded. And I think the thing with the cameras is they want to put it on like their pectoral fins or something and record and see if they are closing their... Well, they do know that they're closing their gills, don't they?
They just know it from the sensors. They don't have a video that proves it. Like,
there's one, I think it's at 100 meters, where it shows it closing its gills for a little bit.
Well, so that's my news. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. That's the thing about sharks, man. They're always popping up with new things they didn't think they could do. Just like with basking sharks in the last one. Who knows, maybe there'll be more shark news on the next week as well.
So how about your news? What you've written, new whale, possibly larger than a blue whale, which is sort of misleading. I mean, it's not, you're acting like a new whale has just popped up in the ocean, but...
Well, how do you know it's extinct? No comment.
Please go on.
There was a new discovery. Well, I think it was actually 20 years ago they first unearthed this whale species, but they've now weighed some of its vertebrae, and it seems like this could be nearly twice as heavy as a blue whale. So it was discovered in Peru. It's called Perucetus colossus, I think. Like this very big whale. It's a basilosaurid, so quite different than a blue whale. Not as long. It's about 60 feet or 20 meters, I think. But like I said, the estimates go up to 375 tons, which would make it a lot heavier than the 150-ton blue whale. So pretty big. They think it was probably had a lot of blubber as well. And well, the thing is that their bones are like super dense and heavy, and obviously they'd probably have to have a lot of blubber too. So they think it would have like just kind of hung around at the seafloor, kind of like a dugong or a manatee. Yeah, and it's sort of been blowing up on YouTube and stuff, like bigger than a blue whale. Although that is the upper estimate. So the lower estimate is actually 93 tons. So it might not be, even though for clickbait purposes or to draw in the crowd, everyone says bigger than a blue whale. But that's one of the estimates. It could be actually a lot lighter. Yeah,
because everything always says... Like, this is the one thing that I thought, oh, you don't have to change this fact, which is the people saying the blue whale is the largest animal that's ever existed on the planet. So it would be many, many things would need to be updated if this whale turns out to be bigger than a blue whale.
Yeah.
That's sort of sad. Because I remember, like, in elementary school, we were learning about how big a blue whale was, and we went outside, and we all grabbed a bunch of yardsticks and put them end to end until we were at the size of a blue whale. Wow. Yeah, that was fun. But now, kids these days, they're going to be putting it end to end for some animal that isn't even alive anymore.
Well, yeah, maybe. But again, this is like only like half the length of a blue whale.
Oh, it's just larger. It's just heavier.
Just possibly a lot heavier and thicker. It's a really chunky looking lad. Sort of humongous. Okay, well, never mind then. More research is needed, I guess. They only have a few vertebrae. They don't have like its head or jaws or anything yet. So they're still not even sure what it ate. They don't think it would have been just seagrass, like the dugong or manatee, because they think that would be really weird to have the only whale that was like a herbivore. They think maybe it like rolled around in the sand and mud and just ate everything it could get off the seafloor. I think this creature should show up in the next Meg. That's what I proposed. Meg 3. The big whale. I guess. I think the Meg 3's already been written, though. Well, we could change it. Yeah. So, is that all for that one? Yeah. And then the final news story that probably many of you have... Yeah, you've probably heard of it. Seen or heard of. It's the sun bear at the zoo that looks like a human. But, in case you still didn't know, it's not a human. However, the idea that... I mean, you look at it and you think, okay, that's weird. It looks sort of like a human, but it's sort of ludicrous to imagine that there would be a human being passed off as a bear. However, there is a precedent for this because in China and Japan, there is a very entertaining custom of employees dressing up as zoo animals for various purposes. So, yeah, I hope you're watching this on YouTube because you're going to be seeing some really wild images. And if not, I highly recommend that you look up what would be Panda Keeper in costume. Yeah. Or training in Tokyo Zoo. Yeah, well, we can share some links. But yeah. I just wanted to do sort of a live react to these pictures. Even though we've already seen them before, but they're just so silly. Terrifying. Yeah. So again, this is to show that it's not that unimaginable that someone would be dressed up like a sun bear pretending to be a bear. Yeah, but it does show that the costumes are nowhere near the level that people think that sun bear would have been if it was a costume. So, here's the first one.
A panda keeper in costume, doing a health check on a panda cub.
It looks like something from The Purge or something.
It looks like a horror movie for sure, or like the masks in the Joker's gang.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like a balaclava that someone had like 5 minutes to make it look kind of like.
It's so scary. Yeah.
This one where they're standing in a cage. So just imagine a guy with a balaclava with panda ears on it standing in a cage and a panda staring at him.
Get out of my house.
You can't even see his eyes. The mask is all weird.
It's so scary. Here's a slightly different type of panda suit.
Yeah, I guess a few people will do it at the same time sometimes.
So that they can mimic good panda behavior to the other pandas.
Yeah.
Because they're all sitting and pretending to eat bamboo and stuff.
These ones look a little better, but still nowhere near as realistic as the sun bear, which was real. But
I mean, at this point, like, these pandas are being trained so that they can go out into the wild. Imagine if that's what they think real pandas look like, and they are terrified of, like, actual pandas.
Yeah.
Okay, next would be...
so this is Tokyo, right?
Yeah, the Tokyo Zoo. The category of people dressing up in animal suits so that they can do practice animal escape drills, which, as far as I know, no other country does animal escape drills. I mean, there's China and Japan, and then... Have you ever heard of an animal escape drill at your local zoo? Because I haven't.
No. I feel like they must have something, but just not to this level where someone dresses up as the escaped animal.
Yeah, so in this one, maybe you've seen this video.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll just play this first part, like,
because it's someone so dressed funny. Up as a snow... It looks like a mascot for a team, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like just a typical Japanese mascot animal. But then, like, the South he knocks someone over. And then he's running havoc, and they all have to...
Well, first they have to resuscitate
the guy. They resuscitate the man who's been attacked by the giant snow leopard man. And then he's, like, running away, and then they start shooting him with darts so that he falls asleep. But it's so weird. Right, so that's the Tokyo Zoo snow leopard escape drill.
They also do, well, the same thing, but just with, like, someone dressed as a zebra.
Yeah, there's a zebra one. And in this one, the visitors at the zoo were also participating. Like, they were watching as the zebra ran past them, which is sort of terrifying. Like, is that Ueno Zoo's real protocol for if an animal escapes, they just let the crowd watch? That seems bad. In this case, it's only a zebra, which might be less dangerous than a snow leopard, but probably not, because zebras could probably kill you. Yeah, anyway. And then there's a bunch of pictures of this practice in China and Japan.
There's one with a rhino where the costume looks pretty decent, I thought.
Right, so there's one where it's like a papier-mâché sort of rhino, and instead of it being a weird furry costume, it's like, it looks more like a rhino. It has the right size and shape.
Yeah.
It's just a person moving the thing. So that makes a bit more sense to me.
I think it's a reasonably good idea.
But, I mean, how often are there really animal escapes? I feel like it's more of a gimmick than... Do they really need to practice this?
I feel like it's probably... Even if it's rare, it's good. Like, it's a pretty serious thing, so you have to practice for it. Better be prepared.
I really like this picture from China of a tiger being carried on a stretcher past a real-life tiger in an enclosure. And he's like, whoa, what's that? It's really cute. Yeah, the snow leopard. The Chinese one includes some mythical animals.
I was wondering what that was.
For unknown reasons. I don't know what is it meant to symbolize, like I don't know why they also use mythical animals if they have real animals in the escape thing.
Yeah, I think you're right that this partially, like, the thing where the people were there with the zebra, that partially this is for, like, a crowd pleaser thing. For people to come and see. Right.
So here's the rhino charging a school group of children.
And there's one guy waving his hand to stop it.
Like, that is not going to stop the rhino. The kids are goners. I mean, how would you feel as a parent if you sent your kid on a normal field trip to the zoo and then they were experienced the trauma of almost getting trampled by a fake rhino? They probably knew and they were like, oh, this is great. Good chance for learning, but...
This was part of an earthquake disaster drill?
So apparently, okay, that makes sense. Like, if there's an earthquake and then the measures for keeping the animals away sort of stop and then the animals escape. But
yeah, maybe it's like they won't have time to evacuate the people. So what do they do instantly to try and protect them from the animals?
okay, but are they protecting those children from the rhino? Like, they're just holding their hands in front of them.
They're all going to die.
Those kids are, and they're wearing little hats, but those hats are not protection.
It's all up to that one man if he can get in front of that rhino in time and somehow slow it down.
I know, and there's like one guy who in typical Japanese fashion is like probably saying some directions. Please stay calm and walk slowly to the right. But he is not gonna jump to action. He's just the directions guy. I don't want this to happen because it's very bad and dangerous, but I'd like to know how well their drill procedures would work in real life.
Yeah.
Especially because it probably wouldn't just be one rhino.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's very interesting. Yeah, so here's the rhino. It seems to have mauled someone.
Also, the smug look on his face.
Yeah. No, they're capturing him with a net. Which, again, is that how you capture a rhino? With a net?
Yeah, I mean, some of this has got to be just for fun.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a little gimmick for popularity at the zoo. I'm not sure how much of this is really good strategy for capturing these animals. Here's some sort of kangaroo. Oh, it's a kangaroo attacking someone through the bars.
I thought it was a bear.
I think that's a kangaroo.
Strangling him by pulling his shirt
Yeah, he's
back.
like...
Luckily, the guy has a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, he was prepared for the... Now some people are finally doing something useful, shooting a tranquilizer dart at an orangutan. And here's a monkey, a very big monkey. Oh, it's a gorilla. See, that is interesting because kids in Japan tend to be very terrified of gorillas. So imagine how they would feel. If the gorilla would be the thing that's scarier than anything. And to be fair, it is scary if a gorilla is loose.
Yeah.
But this does not look like a gorilla. At least do the walk, you know? Like on all fours.
Quadruped, yeah.
I think I would like this job because I would put a lot more effort into it than they do.
It'd be so hot though, I imagine. Well, February, maybe it was not hot then.
Yeah, it probably wasn't hot in February.
If they do it in the summer, I bet it'd be so hot being in those
They
suits.
wouldn't do it in the summer because the kids wouldn't be in school.
Maybe. Here's a guy kicking the gorilla in the shin.
Don't try this at home. Yeah, so... Oh, another mythical creature. Okay. So anyway, I just thought these pictures were so funny, interesting, and crazy. I wanted to hear your thoughts on them.
Yeah.
Please tell us your thoughts as well if you're watching the video or if you look up the pictures yourself.
Yeah. I hope we described them pretty well if you're like driving and listening to this. I think we tried to.
So again, here's another thing about the sun bear at the zoo.
Yeah.
So everyone was saying, it looks like a human, this must be a hoax, or they're trying to trick us into thinking that they have a sun bear, but that's just a human. And I was reading more about that, and there was a biologist who was saying that, no, this is totally not a trick, because that's how sun bears walk. They look sort of like humans when they walk, and they walk on two legs more than any other bear species. And you know what that made me think of?
The orang mawas?
Yeah, because we were saying that it could either be the orang mawas in, Indonesia or Malaysia? Was it Malaysia?
I think it was Indonesia.
Okay, well, anyway, that cryptid, it was said to either maybe be a orangutan or a sun bear. And we were like, oh, sun bear, I don't know if it really looks that much like a sun bear. But if you think about it, a sun bear, since they like to walk on both legs, they like to walk on two legs, and they're dark in color, just like the orang mawas is described. Like, couldn't it be...
Was it described as being dark?
Yeah, it was described as being dark, yeah.
Okay, well, if you're going to take that description, I don't know why you're cherry picking. You forgot that the orang mawas was also like over 8 feet tall.
Yeah,
and a sun bear is the smallest species of bear.
But everyone, exaggerates the size of something when they're seeing it in the forest.
I don't know, man.
It just got me thinking.
Cryptid Court is over.
It just got me thinking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of thought about it in a different way, but I remember we already looked up like the videos of the sun bear, and we did think it looked like a human when it was walking.
So, food for thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Next, let's move on to Wild Chat. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I guess since Shark Week is just over and we watched Meg 1 and 2, we were going to maybe talk a little bit about the best and worst shark movies we've seen.
First, let's just list all the shark movies we've seen so that we don't forget anything.
Oof, we should have done this before.
Okay, so we have seen Meg 2.
The Trench.
What?
Don't shortchange the Meg.
Okay, sorry. Meg 2. But isn't the first one in the trench too?
I know, but it still has the subtitle, The Trench, for some reason.
Meg. Oh, wait. We've seen Deep Blue Sea, Jaws. I haven't seen the other Jaws, just the first one.
We saw the end of Jaws 4.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember it at all. How many Jaws are there?
4 so far.
Jaws plus 3, I guess. And then, what else?
47 meters down.
Oh, yeah, that has sharks in it.
Is that the only ones we've both seen?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I've actually seen that many
Okay, well,
shark
that makes
movies.
it easier, because then we can just look at the ones that we have, because we only have...
Well, there's also that movie, I've never seen it, but it's about the surfer, the true story about the surfer.
That was one with Blake Lively?
Yeah. What's that called?
The Shallows, I think?
I don't think so. I think The Shallows is different. Blake Lively movie. That's what we'll call it. Have you seen any other shark movies?
Yeah, I've seen a few more, but I don't know if we want to add them all.
Okay. Well, you should just mention them, like, because we're just saying which ones are good and which ones are bad.
Dark Waters.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's the only ones I can think of right now.
Have you seen that horror movie about, like, I read the description of it once, where there's one movie where there's, like, swimming in a cave and then there are sharks, and then the sequel gets crazy because the shark is, like, a supernatural shark, and it can appear anywhere there's water, and it's like a ghost shark, and it really hates people and is trying to get them. So there are scenes where it spawns in a swimming pool, scenes where it spawns in someone's glass of water, and it, like, explodes the glass of water and it's there in the room. In a toilet as well, probably. Have you seen that?
No.
Let's watch that. It sounds very silly. Right, okay.
Oh, Open Water?
What's that?
That's the true story of scuba divers, I think, who got stuck in the middle of the ocean.
Ooh. Is there a movie about that incident that they were talking about in Jaws? You know,
1916?
the people who they were on the USS.
Oh, Indianapolis?
Yeah.
There's a movie, USS Indianapolis, with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, is it good?
I don't know, I've only seen the trailer.
Well, that probably has sharks in it.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, any other movies? Oh, there's Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh, right, you haven't seen that.
Have you?
No, but there's Aquaman. Does that have a shark in it?
Surely it does.
Well, would you really call it a shark movie? I'll put it in.
Any movie with a shark? Does Finding Nemo count?
Yes, it does. Finding Nemo. Other movies with shark.
I mean, I can name other ones I've never seen, like Sharknadoes or...
Right. Yeah, but we can't judge it correctly if we haven't seen it, because Sharknado might be a Marvel
masterpiece.
Yeah. So I think, unless you can think of anything else, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
So let's talk about which ones are good and which ones are bad.
So I think the obvious good one above the rest is probably Jaws.
But the writer of Jaws would disagree.
Peter Benchley?
Yeah, because, I mean, what are you just calling best and worst? Like, are you saying good as in a good movie or good as in good portrayal of a shark?
Oh, okay. I meant as in a good movie.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if any of them portray sharks very well.
In Finding Nemo, the shark is a very friendly guy.
Yeah.
Until he snaps. But that's just because...
the blood.
Yeah, but he doesn't try to eat any people. He only tries to eat that little tiny fish.
Yeah. Ugh, there's also Shark Tale.
I haven't seen that.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, we can talk about it. So
what are we saying what we think is most accurate, or just the...
I don't know. You're the one, this was your idea.
Okay, first we'll go, alright, I think Jaws is probably the best as just a movie, not very accurate.
Okay.
What do you think is the most accurate one?
Deep Blue Sea. No, I don't know. Well, there's, like I said, Finding Nemo, because the sharks are like, they're just normal people. Normal guys, normal animals. And also maybe the one with Blake Lively, probably, since it's based on a true story.
There's some weird things in that movie, though.
Oh, really? Oh. Well, how about Shark Tale?
No, Shark Tale's terrible.
Well, I'm just going to say Finding Nemo. What about 47 Meters Down? Is that pretty accurate?
Well, what I remember about that movie is that it wasn't as much about the sharks as it was trying to get to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's sort of good.
Okay. Well, yeah. I wouldn't know how accurate or what the most accurate one is, but...
Okay, what's your least favorite as a movie, then?
Well, I just didn't really like 47 Meters Down because it was too stressful. And it had too much things in it that I don't like, such as the bends and... various scary situations, people making stupid decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that would be my least favorite one out of these.
Okay.
What about you?
My least favorite? Probably Shark Tale or Dark Waters.
Okay, so what's wrong with Shark Tale and what's wrong with Dark Waters?
I can't even remember. Shark Tale is like the weird Will Smith thing.
The one with...
We're gonna get copyright strike.
Oh no.
It has a song Car Wash. I don't know what song you're singing. Can't Touch This?
Yeah.
Maybe it has that one too. And it's about a shark that wants to be a vegetarian, I guess, and Will Smith's trying to help him. It's like they took that little piece from Finding Nemo and tried to turn it into a full movie.
Right. Sort of like, I mean, this is a very common theme with movies in general, where two movies come out with similar ideas at the same time, like Finding Nemo, Shark Tale, Ants, and
Bug's
Life.
The Wild, Madagascar.
Right. And there are some romantic comedies with a similar thing.
Yeah, like there's so many romantic comedy posters where it's like the same. Like it's they're crossing their arms back to back.
Like No Strings Attached or whatever the other one is called.
Benefits.
Yeah. Basically, this is a common thing. So I'm not really going to say if Shark Tale stole the idea from Finding Nemo, but...
Oh, I'm not saying that it did. I'm just saying that's how it feels.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's not good because?
I don't even remember it very well. I just remember really not being entertained.
Can a shark even be vegetarian?
I don't think so. There's one shark that's omnivorous.
Which shark is that?
The bonnethead shark. It's like a small hammerhead shark that eats seagrass.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, what's wrong with Dark Waters?
It's just a pretty cheesy B movie where they try and make an army out of sharks. It's just low budget, poor acting, poor plot. Not that much to say.
But did the sharks look good?
No. Some of the designs of the Meg and the Meg 2 looked really bad, I thought. Like Haichi, I think. Mm-hmm. That looked like the stock footage I use in some of the YouTube videos.
So you're saying your YouTube videos are low quality? What do you think?
I think the CGI probably is low quality. It's not like $167 million budget.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe we can just move on.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
But what was your favorite movie, just as entertainment?
This is an unpopular opinion, but I just really like Aquaman because I think it's cool that Aquaman can control the sea creatures, and they all love him, and it seems like a really nice superhero lifestyle to be able to jump in the ocean and all your ocean friends come up to you. And I thought that the undersea scenes in that movie were really nice and lush. So that one. But also, if we're going more shark-centric, I guess I liked the first Meg a lot, and Jaws. Sure.
I didn't know you liked the first Meg that much.
It was entertaining. Oh, you know what? I also like Deep Blue Sea. However, I noticed another pattern where Deep Blue Sea and Meg have like the same characters. There's the guy. This is the main thing I noticed was there's a black guy who like is really outspoken and he knows what to do and he survives, which is like supposed to be counter to the trope of black people always die in horror movies. But then like now you always know he's gonna survive because he's saying all the right stuff, and then he's really smart, and I don't know, it just seemed like the same character to me. However, in the Deep Blue Sea, it was more entertaining. I liked him because he was like the chef guy who had the pet parrot or something. Yeah. I thought that was so nice. I loved him. And other characters are similar too, like...
There's like the shark wrangler in Deep Blue Sea who's sort of like Jason Statham's character.
And he's like unbelievably good at everything. Yeah. Really rugged. He's like, oh, don't worry, I'll save you. I've been tranquilizing sharks since I was 5 years old. I don't really remember the rest of the characters in Deep Blue Sea, but there's probably like...
I'm sure there's some scientists, and there's probably like kind of evil-ish CEO person.
Oh, right, the evil CEO.
Yeah.
Anyway, there is some sort of unspoken rule now, I guess, where if you're going to make a big shark escape movie, you're going to have these characters in it.
An interesting piece of trivia, which you told me, was that Disney had the rights to the Meg for a while.
Oh, is that?
And they were going to release it they were planning on making it in the 90s, but they didn't want to have to compete with Deep Blue Sea with Warner Brothers or something.
Oh, good that you remembered that.
Yeah.
Right. So, as it goes, like Jaws is the most original, because all the other ones, they have Jaws to thank for, everything.
I think Jaws succeeds because of the characters, maybe, because...
Yeah.
They're pretty unique.
But I really don't like some of the characters in Jaws. I don't like that weird shark hunter guy who like...
Quint.
Huh? Is that his name?
The guy who owns the boat, yeah.
He really annoys me.
Well, spoilers, but at least he gets eaten.
Yeah, we should have said spoilers because we spoil a lot of all these movies.
Well, we didn't spoil the Meg 2, and that's the newest. We didn't say
yes, I did. I said that it's basically the same formula as the Meg, and they go to the island, and it's like...
But that's in the trailer, you see them go to the island.
Oh, is there? Okay. Sorry, anyway.
Okay. Should we move on from shark movies? Or did you want to say anything else?
All I want to say is that, yeah, like, I thought I wasn't going to like the Meg, and then I thought it was actually sort of fun. Deep Blue Sea, I didn't go in with any expectations, but I actually really enjoyed it. Especially, there's some science that it's like, this is just stupid, but there's other science that allows me to suspend my disbelief, and I don't get too analytical with it. And Deep Blue Sea is that one, because I feel like the whole thing with their injecting the brains of the sharks to make them smarter, that seems like not too implausible that would have all these other effects. So, I don't know. And Jaws is classic, but would I watch it every summer as a favorite movie? No.
Okay.
I wouldn't watch any of these movies as a favorite movie, just so you know.
Fair enough.
Any final thoughts from you?
Not really. I think shark movies are hard, though. And there's not too many, like Jaws is the only one where it was, like, this, like, critically acclaimed, I feel like. And I don't really know how you'd make, like, a really high-quality shark movie that isn't just, like, the same thing.
Well, Finding Nemo is critically acclaimed.
That's true, but I wouldn't say it's a shark movie.
You could do Finding Nemo 3, and it's about Bruce and his friends, and they need to find their child that was separated from them and taken to...
Okay, this sounds very similar to the other...
No. Here's what happens to the shark. It is taken... The little baby shark is taken away, and...
He's put in an aquarium.
He's put in an aquarium because they're trying...
Great white sharks can only live for...
Yeah, they're racing against time, but the shark in the aquarium, unbeknownst to them, is able to keep alive by holding on to his great memories of his friends in the ocean. I don't know. It's too dark. It's too dark to be a sequel to this. But yeah, that's all. That's all, right?
Yep.
Okay, next is Cryptid Court, although this time we're not doing a court, we're doing more of a discussion as per the request of a commenter.
Just kind of a chill chat. Yeah.
Chill chat. Cryptid chill chat.
We'll probably go back to the court format next time, but just because we had a request to do from a listener to do more of a chat, we're going to chat it out for this one.
Yes. So we're going to do the Beast of Bladenboro.
In North Carolina.
Yep. And this beast is very time specific, only seen between 1953 and 1954. Although I have heard that maybe there have been some sightings since. But the main story is from 1953 and 1954.
Right. Basically, there were attacks on mostly dogs, and I think a few farm animals.
A rabbit, a goat.
And I read about someone where the beast was like charging them, but I don't think they were attacked.
It attempted to attack a woman and she ran away.
Yeah, so something...
Or she screamed at it and then ran away.
Apparently was killing these dogs and other animals. And from descriptions, it could have been some kind of large cat.
They said it had a cat-like face. However, they also said it was a vampire because all of the victims were totally drained of blood. Yeah. So there's a lot, like... There are many layers to this. So first of all, most of the stories say that it had a cat-like face and it was really big and it was black. However, I saw a lot of other stories where it was a wolf. It was a big wolf. Or maybe a few other stories. And I saw some other ones where it wasn't black. It was sort of a tawny color.
Yeah.
So they can't agree on the details. Yeah. And another one where it was spotted.
Like a leopard.
Right.
Another one, and then there was some dog that people thought it was, like a German Shepherd.
Oh yeah, like it was some dog, mixed breed, mixed German hound, German Shepherd hound.
Big Boy or something.
Big Boy. Some guy had given it away to another person because, like, I don't know, he'd just given away the dog and he thought maybe it had come back. Like, I guess it was a really aggressive dog or something.
Although it would be weird for a dog to kill like that.
Well, so Yes, the victims, which were, again, mostly dogs, were crushed or decapitated, which is very brutal. And again, they were sometimes drained of blood, according to reports. So it wasn't just like, oh, some animal is killing our animals. It seemed very vicious. And especially because when you see the pictures like of the goat, it doesn't look like it's been eaten at all. So it seems malicious rather than an animal killing for food. So what are your thoughts on this?
So when I first was reading just a little bit about this, and like there was the whisperings of it being a large cat, I was like, well, that sort of makes sense. Because if there's like the whole thing in the UK with big cats escaping from private owners, surely that's happened in the US. But if you look at the reports themselves, they vary so much, and the way that like animals were killed and everything, it feels suspicious.
Suspicious in what way?
Well, I don't know. I'm acting as if I'm going to have a twist ending to this. I'll just say right now, there's like claims that this may have been a bit of a publicity stunt.
Right. Yeah. So the mayor of the town, at first, he was all in on this phenomenon. He had all these search parties he organized search parties to
like
find
hundreds of, at one point
500 people.
It was like 500, 800, and then like at one night it was like 1,000 people were going out.
Yeah, so people were coming from out of town to hunt the Beast of Bladenboro, and he was publishing in the paper. He did a lot of like publicity for it, and then when they caught the bobcat, he put it on a pole in the town center, and he said, "The beast has been caught," something like that, and he continued doing publicity for it, and it's still an event every year in Bladenboro, some sort of like, but when he was asked about it later, he did say that the story was 90% imagination, 10% truth, as in maybe some animals were killed sort of brutally, but a lot of it was made up for publicity. So I wrote down what I thought which parts might have been imagination. So I thought maybe the size was exaggerated, in which case perhaps it was a bobcat or a coyote. I thought the color was exaggerated or stretched to match because, again, some people said it was black, some people said it was spotted, some people said it was tawny, and some people said it was a wolf.
How many of the sightings do you remember were at night?
Maybe a lot, like maybe almost all of them. I don't know.
So it might have been hard to judge size and color if it was dark.
And I also think something that might have been exaggerated for the press was the crushing as well as the sucking of blood, because I don't know that any animal would actually suck the blood of its victims and then leave them there. Maybe they were scared off before they could eat them. And the crushing just seems weird. And like, why would you decapitate them as well? Maybe that was just an accident of the kill or something. Someone else said that their bikes were crushed as well, which again is probably just like, well, I thought maybe that could be exaggeration, but I also thought there could have been some teenagers who were buying it, like they thought the hype was really exciting and that it was a good time to pull pranks, so maybe they crushed or decapitated, like in a more innocent way. Maybe they crushed the bikes, and in a more horrible way, maybe they decapitated the pet rabbit or something, just because they're teenagers and they're bad. So that could be the exaggerated bits, and then the truth is just that, again, there's some
there's probably some like one of the initial killings probably was some like by a wild animal that was pretty gruesome, and then it sort of snowballed into there's a beast going around. So
now let's talk about what animal do you think it was?
I guess some kind of a bobcat. Do mountain lions are in that region, aren't they?
See, this is an interesting thing, because most sites I was reading said that there aren't any mountain lions in this part of North Carolina. It's by the coast, and there haven't been mountain lions there for hundreds of years. However, there's the Carolina Panthers. They're a sports team, and their mascot is the panther because there used to be a subspecies of mountain lion there, the Carolina panther, which is depicted as black, which again is weird because I looked it up and there doesn't seem to be any melanism in
proven case
mountain lions.
But
however,
it's sort of like
it's very interesting that this is all like wrapped together in myth or folklore, which is the idea of a black, large mountain lion from the Carolinas. So there's that, and this is not around anymore, the Carolina mountain lion. However, you also have to think about how mountain lions are very good at wandering, and they've been increasing their range since we stopped hunting them in like the 70s or whenever it happened. So there could have just been one random mountain lion that happened to be there for a few days and then left after it got freaked out by all the people.
Yeah. Especially since, like, I get a lot of comments sometimes on the cryptid videos, like people saying that, people say there's no mountain lions in this part of the U.S., but there have been some.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the distinction is that, like you said, they're not native to that area. They've just wandered. So they're from the west, but the eastern mountain lion is extinct. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Another thing I thought it might be, if you're insisting that it's black, which again, probably not true, is a jaguar. Same sort of idea. Jaguars are native to North America. There could have been a really crazy one that wandered up from Mexico and was black. Like, yeah. I mean, it's within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Or it could have just been a bobcat.
Or a pet black leopard.
Yeah.
Or popular pets.
It could have been someone's pet, but I don't know. I feel like this...
I don't think that's super likely, but I just know that when exotic pets were like a big thing, black leopards were really popular. And it's more common for a leopard to be black than a jaguar. There are a lot of
sort of amateur zoos in that area, like the Carolinas and stuff. So that could happen. I could see that. Especially in the 50s. Like there aren't any regulations back then.
Yeah, I think North Carolina is still a bit loose on like exotic pet regulations.
Yeah, I'm saying it is now, and before it was probably even more so.
Yeah.
And again, there's also the thing that it could be a coyote. However, I think since most people said it looked like a cat, it's probably a cat.
Yeah, that's what I'd say too. I heard some people say that it could have been a wolf.
Right.
And then that wolves weren't in that region, but some people claimed to see them.
Right. It's the same sort of thing as a mountain lion, I would say.
But I guess bobcat is the most likely, and people just... like a big bobcat, and people maybe exaggerated a little.
Yeah. I would say most likely would be a big bobcat or a wandering mountain lion.
Yeah. And then it escalated and was hoaxed a little.
Yeah, and again, about the crushed bikes, I think that was just some stupid kids.
Yeah, why would a big cat go over and start vandalizing people's bikes?
I don't know.
Okay. So I feel like we've reached an agreement.
Yeah, well, this wasn't an argument. This was just a discussion.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll agree either.
Yeah, so tell us if you agree. Tell us if you have any theories of your own about the Beast of Bladenboro. Tell us if you're from this area and you've heard about it or have any family stories or anything.
Yeah. I would like to hear. I know there was a documentary that I tried to find a place to watch it, but I couldn't find.
What documentary?
I think it's just called The Beast of Bladenboro, but it's not released on Netflix or Amazon. It was released on like a streaming service I'd never heard of.
I watched this short documentary on YouTube where they were interviewing some kids who weren't alive at this time, but I guess they heard stories from their grandparents, and like one kid was talking about, they all had their own individual stories of how the beast affected them. So that's how I learned about the crushed bikes. He was like, oh yeah, it crushed our bikes. Like, okay, kid. And another one was saying how, their goat was killed. So yeah, and they were all saying that they think it's still out there. They think that maybe they're going to see it again or something.
Well, that's the thing. Once you have one cryptid sighting, or it gets into the like zeitgeist, and you have people like primed to think there's something out there, like you're gonna misidentify something. And if you have that idea in your mind like that, whether it's real or not, I feel like it's never gonna go away.
One kid said something interesting in the YouTube video. He said, lots of hunters come around here, like it's a very popular place to hunt, and the person who kills the Beast of Bladenboro is not going to be very popular around here.
Right, yeah.
Because, like, they love the animal, even though it has done some bad stuff. It's never killed a human, for one thing, and it's a cult classic. It's a very popular pet or animal around there.
Imagine if someone went to Scotland and
killed Loch Ness monster.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the more discussion format versus the court format. Because
some people have said that they love the court format, and some people have said they wish it was just a discussion.
So maybe we'll alternate maybe. We'll see. So let us know. You can comment below, or you can send a question to our email. You can tell us about what you think about Cryptid Court, or any thoughts or questions you have, and that's at thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com. That's thewildworldpodcast@gmail.com.
Okay, so next we're going to go to the Q&A section. We have two today.
Okay.
So first is from Dan in the UK. Hello, Wild World Podcast. I'm loving the podcast. Here's a question for you. what is your favorite symbiotic relationship in the animal kingdom? For example, mine's white sharks and pilotfish. The pilotfish eat the parasites off white sharks, and it in turn gets free protection from the sharks. There's even tales of pilotfish following trawlers who've caught their sharks for weeks afterwards.
That's a bit sad.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to clarify from a, biological perspective. Symbiotic doesn't mean what it often is said to mean in the media, which is a mutually beneficial relationship. That would be mutualism. Symbiotic encompasses 4 different types of relationships between species. So there's mutualism, which is the typical, they both benefit. There's commensalism, which is where one species provides the place, but it doesn't really care one way or another, and the other species is the only one getting the benefit. So that would be like barnacles on a whale. Third type is parasitism, which is, obviously, hopefully you know what that is, where one species benefits and the other species is harmed. And then the fourth one is competition, which is a type of symbiotic relationship because they're affecting each other. Their actions are affecting each other. And it's like a zero-sum game relationship. So I assume you mean mutualism, a positive relationship between them, just because it would be too hard to choose my favorite relationship between species.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for mutualism as well, I think.
Yeah, so I couldn't think of my answer to this because I never thought about that before. So I looked up a list of symbiotic mutualistic relationships. And one thing I found that was really cool online was between the honey guides and the Hadza people. So honey guides are a type of bird, and the Hadza people are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer tribes from Tanzania.
Oh, wow. So
they've been living like this, for ages, and they have a really cool relationship with the honey guide bird. The bird can tell where the bees live in the trees, and it will call to them. It has a special call for humans, and the people will follow the bird's call, and then they will cut down the tree, and they will take the honey. They'll cut down the tree, they will smoke out the bees, and then they will take the honey, and then what the bird gets out of it is it eats the wax, the beeswax. And this is some hunter's specialty. They're the honey guys. They also have tactics where they don't just do what the bird wants. Sometimes they burn the wax, so the bird has to keep helping them, which I thought was pretty messed up. But
it's a bit mean.
Yeah. So I thought that was so cool, just how, it's Africa, so people have been living there for a much longer time. And I guess we have, around the world, we have people working with dogs. But I hadn't heard...
Trained. I'm guessing these birds weren't trained.
Yeah,
by the
they're not
people.
trained. It's just their natural behavior to look for people and then guide them towards the trees full of honey. They're not pets. They're just living there. Isn't that cool?
That is cool, yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
No, I've heard of... Was there some bird that was supposed to alert the honey badger? So I heard that wasn't necessarily true. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that much before. I kind of like I don't know what category this would be in, but the clownfish and the anemone.
Mm-hmm. That's very basic. I thought of that too, but I was like, nah, that's too basic for me. No, it is cool. It is cool. Sorry.
I don't know. I just thought it was sort of interesting.
It's so fun how they have their own little home and their own security system and no one can touch them.
Is there any other fish that has something like that? I mean, probably, but not as famous as...
Mm-hmm. It makes me sort of sad when I see clownfish in aquariums and they don't have an anemone in there with them. And it makes me happy, conversely, when I see an aquarium and there's a huge anemone and all the clownfish are in it. It's like, oh, that's their home. I don't know. It's like, what other kind of fish comes with, what its home is? You know what I mean?
I can't think of any.
It's so cute. So I talked about my thing that I found out online, but I also, if I had to answer without doing any research, I would have said the mycorrhizal fungi. So
not familiar.
With most trees, if not all trees, there's a type of fungus that attaches to the roots underground, and this allows the trees to get nutrients and water from the ground, and the fungi get sugar from the trees in return. So almost every tree has this. It's sort of an unspoken, unrecognized relationship that's essential to lots of plant life, which is why when you see certain trees, they're often going to have types of mushrooms around them, and sometimes you have to look for certain types of trees to find the certain kinds of mushrooms you want. I just think it's cool because, like, it's cool that they're such good friends.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The fungi and the trees. I wonder, I guess I don't think that plants and fungi are sentient, but if they were, I bet they'd love each other. Because it just seems, it's so wholesome.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so, and that's, I think, another thing why, like, some people use antifungal treatments for things, and then it can end up killing your plants, because they do need some fungi. It's just like if you take too many antibiotics, you could get really sick, because you also need bacteria inside your body. So everyone is involved in many, many, many mutualistic relationships right now.
Right, fair enough. Thank you for the question, Dan.
All right, we have another question today from Cora. She says, "Hello, my name is Cora, and I really enjoy your podcast episodes. My question is, what are some of your favorite facts about any animals? Also, with the cryptid section of your podcast, I love the court format where one of you is for and the other against. It shows arguments as to why some people may think that, and I think perspective is super important. Keep up the good work." See, another fan of the Cryptid Court format.
Yeah. Well, we'll do the court next week, and then we'll figure out if we need to alternate or not.
So what's your favorite fact about any animal?
Okay, I'm going to tell you all a fact I learned recently. I don't know if it's my favorite fact, but it's terrifying.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, you probably remember how scared I was when I learned this. Sperm whales are so loud that when their clicks can go, I think, over 200 decibels, which is enough not only to rupture your eardrums, but also kill you in the water from the force of the vibrations.
Right. So my question is, how likely is this to happen?
I don't know.
I don't really know what it means when a sperm whale clicks. Like, do they do that all the time, or?
Well, I guess it's their communication. And I guess they don't need to be that loud unless they're trying to communicate with sperm whales that are hundreds or more miles away.
Mm.
But I wouldn't want to get caught when a sperm whale is screaming in your ear.
A new horror movie. It's just people get dropped in the water next to a sperm whale, and the sperm whale opens its mouth and starts screaming.
I wonder if they ever used that as a defensive mechanism when they were being whaled and stuff.
Mm.
I've never heard of it, but...
Interesting.
So stay safe out there.
Is that the end of your fact?
I guess so. That's the first one that came to my mind.
Mine is, it's actually related to the rest of the stuff we've talked about today. Have I, on this podcast, talked about the panda thing before?
What panda thing?
The panda thing I told you, or maybe I didn't tell you.
Oh, the meat thing?
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so I actually really love this fact because it brought together a lot of things for me, which was exciting. So I learned this from a child in Japan, which is weird because usually...
You said it so condescending.
No, that's the reason it's weird.
Child.
The reason it's weird is because I was like trying to teach the children. They weren't supposed to be teaching me. And usually they did not know one thing about animals because they had...
You experts think you know everything.
No. They always had these bad ideas, like they would say their favorite animal is a white tiger, and I'd be like, a white tiger isn't really an animal. I mean, there's just tigers, and white tigers only live in zoos. And they were like, no, white tigers, blah, blah, blah. They were obsessed with white tigers, and they hated gorillas. So, like, I'm saying I wasn't gonna take them as an expert on biology, okay? But this kid... I was doing a quiz game. So, yeah, I was doing a quiz game, and one of my quizzes was like, I think it was talking about pandas as an example, and it would be like, pandas eat blank, pandas don't eat blank. So, my example answer was, pandas eat bamboo, pandas don't eat meat. Then this one kid, he raises his hand, and he's like, actually, pandas love meat. They can't get enough of it. I was like, what are you talking about, right? I was like, stop interrupting this lesson where I'm just giving you an easy example to tell me that pandas love meat. He's like, yeah, in the zoos, they feed them meat because they love it. And I was just a little irritated. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Maybe you're right. Let's move on, right? But then I looked it up later, and I found the study this kid was talking about. It was from China, so maybe it hadn't really saturated, like, American consciousness yet, or consciousness around the world, but it had in Japan. It was a study from a zoo showing, or maybe some scientists, showing that pandas do like meat, and the reason is they really like protein. Almost every animal needs protein and will eat whatever is necessary to get that protein. even if you think they're vegetarian, a lot of times they're getting insects with the food they're eating, or they won't say no to an easy wounded bird or something. It's a sad fact of life that your favorite vegetarian animal might not always be vegetarian.
I heard it's actually really rare to find a strict vegetarian in the wild.
Yeah. They would usually need a mutualistic relationship with bacteria in order to achieve that. Right, so pandas are not strictly vegetarian. They aren't obsessed with bamboo like people think they are. So in zoos, they're given meat. But then this study was looking into what do they eat in the wild. And apparently in the wild, they've been known to chase down pikas. So those are the little rodents that inspired Pikachu. And they just love eating them, like, in a sort of brutal way. Because they live in the mountains of China. So if they see them, they'll eat them. But another thing that I learned is that protein, like, they don't only get their protein from pikas. They get their protein from the bamboo. Because in the wild in China, they tend to eat certain types of bamboo that are very protein rich. But in zoos, they don't feed them that kind of bamboo because it is not as easy to grow. And up until recently, they didn't even know that pandas preferred different kinds of bamboo for different purposes. So this all like brought together my whole lifetime of knowledge. And I put it all together and I realized that the reason that people are always saying that pandas can't mate and they can't take care of themselves, and they're like a doomed species, that's not true. I think that in the zoos, they just don't breed because they're horribly fatigued because they're not eating protein-rich bamboo.
Yeah, that tracks.
It totally like blew my mind about panda care and pandas as an animal. Like, they can hunt. 2, they love protein, they love meat. 3, they're probably eating the wrong food in certain zoos, and that's why they're so lazy and why they won't mate. And 4, if we just change the foods that we feed the pandas, gave them more protein or more protein-rich bamboo, then like their behavior would totally change. So I'm not sure how much China has implemented this into their care programs because they have said that pandas are doing great now. So I don't know if that made a difference or
technically
or
not endangered.
Yeah. So I'm not sure like how much of the zoo world knows this or not. Yeah, it's just really interesting to me.
I mean, hopefully it will spread more. It really shows how important like doing research is for like conservation.
Yeah. So think about this. Pandas and probably many other animals wouldn't turn down a nice meat meal.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Thank you very much for your question, Cora.
So, last section, I just wanted to...
Okay, do I close my eyes?
Sure. So, this is just a YouTube comment. I want you to tell me what YouTube video it's from.
Explain to people who are listening why we're doing this.
Sometimes I just find interesting comments or sometimes very silly comments on his YouTube channel, and I ask him about them, and I want his reaction. And maybe I want him to answer some of the things that come up. Okay?
Yep.
So, here's the comment. There's something interesting I've always thought about size. Take however many T-Rex specimens there are and then take an equal number of humans at total random from the global population. From that, you'll get an idea of how big humans usually get, but we probably won't know anything about the NBA players and pro wrestlers that come from the far edge of the bell curve. What does the shack of T-Rexes look like? First of all, can you guess what video this was commented on?
Why the T-Rex is king?
Yeah. And I thought this was an interesting comment. Like, how big could the T-Rex get since we don't have the upper end of the bell curve?
Yep. That sounds like a good idea for a video one day as well.
Have you made that video or no?
No, not yet. I'd like to though. I like how it's always Shaq as well. Like, I think the tallest person was like a man named Robert Watson or something.
I don't know.
He's like nearly 9 foot tall. But on any video, if it's a shark, a T-Rex or anything, it's always like, but what is the Shaq of this?
Really? I would tend to say the Yao Ming.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten Yao Ming. It's always Shaq. But yeah, I think that's a decent point. I think we have like 35 adult specimens, and it's estimated that there were nearly 3 billion T-Rexes. So I guess we really don't know how big they could have been. There was like that paper that came out a couple of years ago that estimated they could have got 70% bigger than, not than the average, but bigger than the biggest one we have. But I don't know. I think the people who did that research were like, this is just like back of the envelope calculations. We're not sure. Yeah, I feel like if we only have that small sample size, that it's very unlikely we found the biggest.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Especially since it's like already the biggest carnivore.
which means that you can't criticize the Meg for saying that the megalodon is way bigger than we think it is, because you never know the end of the bell curve.
I don't know, man, because we have, right, how many like megalodon teeth do we have? Like, you can buy a megalodon tooth for like $100 or a couple of $100. You can't buy like a similar sized T-Rex tooth for the same amount.
But again, the bell curve.
Okay, but if you have more, like if you have a higher amount of specimens, well, I guess we only have teeth really, but we have a lot of different teeth, like thousands and thousands, we probably get closer to the true max.
All right. Well, you'll never know, okay? Unless you get a submersible and dive down below the thermocline in the Philippine Trench.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
No, I just thought it was an interesting point.
Yeah. And I think it's more interesting to put it for like an extinct animal where we only have a few specimens rather than, because people say that in like any how big video, but with like sharks and stuff, like people have been measuring hundreds or thousands of them. If we get, like, if their maximum size is around a certain length, then maybe they didn't find the maximum, but they probably got pretty close to it. But I guess for dinosaurs, it's a lot harder.
All right. Well, That's all then.
Yeah, I guess this is the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, please give the video a like or share the podcast around. Tell all your friends.
Mm-hmm. And please tell us your opinions on the topics we discussed today.
Yep. Okay, until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.